You may have felt this recently, that strange feeling that something is shifting in your life without you really understanding what. Like an inner shiver, a persistent intuition. Something is going to happen. What if it wasn't just a feeling? What if what you've been waiting for, what you've been searching for, what your heart has been yearning for months, was already on its way to you? Today, you'll understand why some answers arrive faster than expected, why some changes suddenly knock on your door, and why sometimes you feel liberation even before it appears in your life. What you're about to hear can change the way you perceive your challenges, your expectations, and even your future. Stay tuned until the end, because nothing in this video happens by chance. There are moments in life when everything seems frozen, not destroyed, not broken, just still. As if your whole life is holding its breath with you. As if even time itself hesitates to take another step. You look around, and nothing moves. Your plans seem suspended in a space between what you want and what you don't yet understand. Even your soul, sometimes, goes into standby mode. You keep moving forward, but without any real direction. You pray, you hope, you wait. But each day is like the last. And yet, despite this outward silence, there is something inexplicable within you. A light, subtle, almost imperceptible movement. Like a breath that doesn't originate from you. Like an intuition you can't put into words, but that your heart recognizes immediately. Something is approaching. Not just any event, not a coincidence, not just another random occurrence in your life. No. Something that deeply concerns you. Something so aligned with your destiny that you can feel its energy even before you see its form. You know that strange feeling when you wake up one morning with the sensation that it's happening, even though nothing has changed in your reality? That feeling isn't a fantasy. It's not your imagination playing tricks on you. It's the heart perceiving what the eye cannot yet see. Because there's a truth that many forget. Spiritual life always begins long before material life. What is decided for you first appears in the unseen realm, in the world of meaning, wisdom, and secrets, before materializing in your hands, in your daily life, in your story. So when you feel that inner stirring, that trembling, that premonition that something is on its way, it's because the reality you're waiting for already exists somewhere. Not in your present, but not in the distant future either. It exists in a dimension that your soul can perceive. And what if this persistent feeling wasn't just a thought? What if it were a sign that what you're waiting for already belongs to you, in a way you don't yet know? You know, we often talk about patience, as if patience were simply waiting a long time. But true patience, the kind that transforms a life, isn't time you let slip by. It's a veil you accept. A veil you pass through from within. Because sometimes you want something, but you're not yet ready to acknowledge it. You want to move forward, but your heart hasn't yet healed what's blocking your next step. You want to receive, even though something within you isn't yet aligned with what you're asking for. That's why Allah's silence is never a refusal. It's work, invisible work, hidden work, precise work on details you only understand later. And what's astonishing is that even in these times, when nothing seems to be changing outwardly, something within you begins to resonate more strongly. As if your soul is being slowly drawn closer to what has long been destined for you. As if a page already written is turning toward you, millimeter by millimeter. Many people think a blessing arrives the moment it appears in their life. But the reality is that it's bestowed upon you long before. It's already laid out for you somewhere, already programmed, already decided. It bears your name, your story, your heart. It is meant for no one else. It cannot go to anyone else. What you are waiting for, what you hope for, what you have asked for, perhaps it is not overdue. Perhaps it has already arrived, but behind a veil woven from maturity, patience, resilience, and understanding. A veil you can only lift when you become the person capable of carrying what awaits you. And it is precisely in these moments of silence, stillness, and apparent stagnation that this inner work takes place. It is there that your soul changes. It is there that your heart grows. It is there that your character is formed. It is there that your vision is refined. What you think you are waiting for is sometimes waiting for you. What if the reason you feel this vibration, this intuition, this certainty without proof, is because you are slowly approaching something that is already written in your favor? What if what you call waiting was actually just preparation? What if this silence was a sign that the promise is closer than you think? Imagine someone going through an inner night, not just a simple difficulty, not just a bad day. No, a period where everything seems to fall apart piece by piece, without logic, without pause, without respite. This man or woman had plans, certainties, a direction. They knew where they were going. They believed they held their life in their own hands. Then suddenly, everything crumbles. The job they thought was stable begins to waver. A word, a decision, a circumstance. And what they believed to be solid shows cracks. The relationships they thought would last forever grow cold. The bonds fray, glances change, faces become unfamiliar. Their best-laid plans collapse like sandcastles swept away by an unexpected wave. They try to resist. They struggle. They cling to what is already slipping away. They worry. They don't understand. He asks himself, why now? Why me? Why all at once? He sees the collapse. But he doesn't yet see the divine readjustment silently taking place behind these losses. Each closure feels like a punishment. Each loss, an injustice. Each silence, an abandonment. He doesn't realize one essential thing. Nothing is removed from your path without reason. No door slams shut without profound meaning, even if that meaning isn't immediately apparent. Because what he believes to be the end is often simply the correction of a path he would never have left if it hadn't been for this chaos. He doesn't know it yet, but a realignment is underway, invisible, precise, targeted, as if life itself were repositioning each piece around him to take him where he's meant to be. And while he feels lost, something else is taking shape for him. You see, just before a major turning point, life often feels like a storm, not to crush you, but to detach you from what you refuse to let go of, even though it no longer suits you. This person, whom you might imagine as someone else, is actually much closer to you than you think. Because you too have experienced moments when everything seemed to shatter. You've lost things you thought were essential. You've felt betrayed by fate. You've wondered why injustice struck precisely when you were trying to do things right. And if you take a moment, perhaps you recognize that moment when, despite the pain, something inside you was saying, I don't understand anything, but I feel this isn't the end. Yet this person continues to move forward in their darkness. Every day is a struggle. Every waking brings a taste of weariness. He feels drained, reduced to a version of himself he no longer recognizes. Sometimes, he doesn't even have the strength to ask for help. He survives in silence, with a heart carrying burdens no one sees. But it is precisely there, in this total darkness, that the shift begins. One morning, nothing has yet changed outwardly, but something in the air is different. A subtle lightness, a peace that settles in the center of his chest, like a breath that isn't his own. He doesn't know that, on that day, a door he has never seen has just opened somewhere. An opportunity begins to form. An event begins to move toward him. A name, a person, a decision comes to life in the unseen. And then, without warning, the turning point arrives. Not with a bang, not with fanfare, not with shouting signs. No. Life often changes direction quietly, not loudly. An unexpected encounter. A word that opens a new horizon. A message, an idea, a synchronicity that could never have happened if everything hadn't been uprooted beforehand. That precise moment when something clicks within him, it's not a coincidence. It's a meeting of minds. A door opens exactly when he had stopped hoping. Exactly when he no longer had the strength to control anything. Exactly when he surrendered inwardly, not in resignation, but in the trust that, despite his misunderstandings, a greater wisdom was watching over him. The turning point never arrives when you feel strong. It happens when you're naked, facing yourself. When your ego crumbles, when your heart is sincere, when you no longer cling to what must go, when your soul finally accepts being guided. And this reversal, this moment when life suddenly offers you what it had denied you for so long, is never a coincidence. It's a meticulous orchestration, perfect divine timing, and an answer sent faster than you could have imagined, just when you thought it was all over. And what's fascinating is that this kind of shift always begins when something within you is about to be revealed. You know that feeling, don't you? That weariness that doesn't come from the body, but from the heart. That silent fatigue that settles in after months, sometimes years, of hoping for something no one sees but you. You keep praying, asking, believing. But inside, something begins to crack. It's not that you've lost faith, no. It's simply that your soul has become too heavy, carrying hopes without proof, expectations without signs, battles whose intensity no one knows. There comes a point when you say to yourself, I can't take it anymore. I'm tired. I don't understand anymore. And it's in this exact state that so much is at stake. Because this warawardness isn't a weakness, it's a language, a way for your soul to say, I sense something is coming. But I'm afraid it's just another mirage. You know this fear. You felt it when you fought for something that crumbled despite all your efforts. You felt it when you thought you were close to change, but everything remained stagnant. You felt it when you saw others move forward, receive, evolve, while you stayed in the same place, as if life had forgotten you. This pain is unique. It doesn't just hurt, it exhausts you. It drains you. It gradually stifles the inner strength you use to keep believing. And yet, it is precisely in these moments when your heart grows heavy that something extremely profound happens on a level you don't yet perceive. You may not realize it, but this weariness is actually a sign that you are reaching the end of a spiritual cycle. This heaviness, this weariness, this urge to give up, these are not signs of defeat. They are the contractions of an approaching deliverance. Yes, a deliverance. Because before every birth, even the birth of a destiny, there is always intense pain, a moment when everything seems unbearable, when the body or soul wants to cry out, I can't take it anymore. This is the final passage before the opening. When your heart grows weary, it is not because Allah has abandoned you. It is because you are no longer far away. It is because you are crossing an inner threshold that you never cross in comfort. It is because your soul senses the proximity of something and struggles to hold on to that last thread. There is a spiritual paradox that few understand. The soul senses the arrival of change long before the eye sees it. And this sensitivity creates a strange tension. Your heart senses what's brewing. Your intuition is growing stronger. Your soul is stirring, but your physical world hasn't yet shifted. And this disconnect burns you from within. You feel something is happening, but nothing has changed yet. You feel you must hold on, but you no longer know why. You feel you're not the same as before, but you don't know where you're headed. It's this emptiness, this in-between, that's the hardest to bear. Because you're no longer the person you were yesterday, but not yet the person you'll be tomorrow. Your heart is weary because it's undergoing a profound transformation. And inner transformations are often invisible until the very last moment. There's also this weariness that comes from all the times you've tried to do the right thing. All the times you've waited patiently without success. All the times you asked in silence. All the times you held on when no one knew what you were carrying. You have no idea of the weight you've accumulated, or the incredible strength you use every day just to keep from giving up. You may have told yourself you were weak because you get tired, but only those who have persevered for a long time reach this state. You can't exhaust a heart that has never held. You can't break a patience that was never real. You can't tire a hope that never existed. This weariness is proof that you held on, that you fought, that you resisted, that you believed, and that you still believe, even in the depths of your pain. There is something extremely precious in this moment when your heart becomes fragile. It's as if Allah is observing your naked sincerity, without your masks, without your strength, without your ego, without your control. It's the moment when you are most authentic, most humble, most intimate. And it is often in this state, tired, broken, vulnerable, that the most unexpected doors begin to open. You don't see them yet. They are still behind the veil. But every heavy beat of your heart, every sigh, every night you fall asleep with a burden, is in reality a trace on the path towards something that is drawing near to you. And what is being prepared in the unseen world sometimes begins to reveal itself when your soul is in precisely this state. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine that your life isn't just what you see. Imagine that just beneath the surface of your existence, there exists a silent world where everything concerning you is being prepared. Not tomorrow, not later, now. Visualize an immense sea as vast as your destiny. On the surface, the water seems calm, flat, still. If you look at it from afar, you might think nothing is happening. Not a wave, not a current, not a sign. But dive into the heart of this sea. Descend into its depths, where the light doesn't reach, where human eyes see nothing. And you will discover a powerful, constant, orchestrated, precise movement. An invisible ballet where each current carries something. An opportunity, protection, a necessary detour, a key person, an answer you asked for long ago. You see nothing moving on the surface. Sometimes you feel like your life is stuck, that everything is stagnant, that nothing is moving forward. But beneath this surface, beneath your immediate reality, there are forces at work, paths that are adjusting, circumstances that are converging on you. You don't perceive this movement, but your soul sometimes feels it before you do. This strange premonition, this intuition that appears without reason, this feeling of imminent change. These are the inner waves of a destiny drawing near. Most of the time, you believe nothing is happening. But in truth, everything is happening. There exists an invisible world, not mystical, not imaginary, but spiritual, in which everything that concerns you is woven. In this world, every detail matters. The people you're meant to meet, the doors that need to open, the decisions that need to be made by someone you don't even know yet, the obstacles that need to be removed before you see them, the synchronicities that need to be precisely aligned so you arrive in the right place at the right time. It's a world where nothing is left to chance. It's a world where everything flows with purpose, even what seems to be moving away from you. Imagine the scene for a moment. Paths cross without touching. Destinies silently draw closer. Coincidences are being orchestrated long before they happen. Words you'll one day hear are already on the lips of someone you haven't yet met. Opportunities are being created in rooms where your name is being whispered, even though you've never set foot inside. And you, on the surface, think nothing is happening, because the invisible has never needed to make a fuss to be real. Let me describe something to you. Sometimes your path is redirected without you understanding why. A project fails. A door closes. A relationship crumbles. An opportunity vanishes. What you believe to be a setback is sometimes simply a maneuver in these depths. A current that steers you away from a rock you can't see. A movement from below to pull you away from a future that wouldn't have been yours. You don't realize how far you're being carried. This invisible world is a bit like a stage set before the actor enters. Hands adjust the lights, arrange the sets, rewrite the dialogue, organize the entrances and exits. And you're still behind the curtain. You think nothing is happening, while everything is being set up for you. You don't see the set being built, but you will walk on it. You don't see the decisions made in your absence, but they will change your life. You don't see the protections placed around you, but they have saved you from nights you couldn't have endured. You don't see the bonds the unseen unties for you, but they have freed you from burdens you would have continued to carry out of ignorance. There is something almost overwhelming in this idea. What belongs to you is never still. Never. Even when you are still. What is destined for you is already circulating in the depths of the unseen world. Like a wave advancing gently yet unstoppable. Like a light making its way to you. Like a message crossing the unknown to reach you at the precise moment you are ready to understand it. And what comes to you cannot be stopped. Not by circumstances. Not by others. Not even by detours. Because what is in motion for you never stops for anyone else. It keeps moving forward, slowly or quickly. But it moves forward. And if only you could see what is unfolding in your favor. If only you could observe the depths of your own destiny. You would stop saying that nothing is happening. You would understand that you are being carried. You would understand that you are being guided. You would understand that you are never left alone. And perhaps you're about to see rise to the surface that which has been traveling towards you for much longer than you realize. Have you ever taken a moment to hear the questions your soul whispers to you when everyone else is asleep? Not the noisy questions that swirl in your head during the day, the deep questions, the ones you avoid, the ones that appear in that silence where there are no more facades, no more distractions, no more masks. Listen to them for a moment. Have you ever asked, why is everything so slow in my life? Why does nothing change? Why am I still waiting? You've repeated this question so many times that you know its taste. The taste of impatience, frustration, weariness, sometimes even doubt. You've asked it in your prayers, in your thoughts, in your sighs. You've asked it voicelessly, with a heart wondering whether it should continue to hope. But let me ask you another one. A question you may never have considered. What if it's not slow? What if you're the one in too much of a hurry to see what's already moving toward you? Perhaps you think nothing is changing, because you're looking in the wrong direction. When we're suffering, we're always looking for change in what we lack. Money, health, love, stability, clarity, peace. We look for outward signs. We wait for the material world to shift before we believe something is truly happening. But the invisible moves differently. It moves silently, without fanfare, without warning. It moves within your thoughts, your emotions, your decisions, your letting go, in those little moments you don't even notice. So ask yourself another, more honest question. Am I truly standing still? Or am I changing by a millimeter each day without even realizing it? You know, sometimes divine acceleration doesn't feel like a spectacular miracle. It feels like a sudden fatigue that forces you to stop. It feels like a broken connection you didn't want to let go of. It feels like a loss that tears something away from you, but frees you from something else. It feels like a detour, like a no, like a pause. None of this feels like an answer. And yet, these are often the first steps of a change that begins before you even realize it. That's why I want to ask you this question you've probably never dared to ask. What if what you call being behind is actually ahead of your destiny? You have no idea how much you need to hold on to certain things to avoid destroying yourself. You have no idea how many times the unseen has protected you from a path too fast for you. You have no idea what has been shifted so that you arrive at exactly the right time, neither sooner nor later. And if you knew, you would stop saying it's slow. Because sometimes, what you believe to be wasted time is time gained from a challenge that wasn't meant for you, or from a version of yourself that wasn't ready, or from a future that needed you to change before it could arrive. I'm going to ask you one more question, a more personal one. The one your soul knows, but your mind often refuses to hear. What if the answer you're waiting for arrived sooner than you imagine? What if it's already on its way, while you say nothing's happening? Imagine for a moment that you sincerely ask for something. Imagine that this request is received. Imagine that it's already accepted, already written, already in motion, but not yet visible. How would you react if you knew that what you're waiting for isn't being built, but is being made its way to you? You would think differently, wouldn't you? You would even feel a sense of peace, a gentle certainty, a natural patience. Because we don't worry when we know the answer already exists. Then another question arises. What's stopping you from believing that it already is? It's not that you don't have signs, it's that you're waiting for different signs than the ones you're receiving. You're asking the universe to speak to you in a grand way, when God often speaks to you in subtle ways, in the unseen, in the discreet. What if you just paused for a moment to ask yourself, what if I'm already closer than I think? Because you never know how close you are to the turning point. You could be a day away, an hour away, a decision away, a meeting away, an opening away, a breath away. You could be so close that your soul is already beginning to sense what's coming. You could be so close that your emotions are swelling for no reason. You could be so close that your heart feels it before you do. What if this inner turmoil wasn't impatience, but a sense of closeness? What if all these questions you're asking yourself were the very sign that an answer is approaching? What if you were on the verge of something, without even knowing it yet? In the life of a believer, there are moments that defy explanation. Moments when everything shifts before you even understand what's happening. Moments when the heaviness that has crushed you for months vanishes without warning. As if an invisible hand had, with a single gesture, lifted a weight your heart could no longer bear. These moments are anything but ordinary. They are neither coincidences nor mere changes in circumstances. They are what sensitive hearts recognize as silent visits of mercy, those sudden descents that the soul feels before the mind grasps. It all begins with weariness, not physical weariness, but the kind that arises when you have carried too much, endured too much, hoped for too much. This kind of exhaustion arrives when you've reached your breaking point, when your strength fails you, and even your prayers sound like whispers, barely audible. Then you ask yourself, Is anyone still hearing? Is something stirring somewhere? Have my cries been lost in the silence? It's often at this precise moment, when your entire being is on the verge of collapse, that the unseen begins to move. Not because you shout loudly, but because your heart has reached a level of sincerity that words can no longer express. A state where your soul is laid bare, where it reveals itself as it truly is, without mask, without justification, without facade. And in this inner stripping away, something opens. You see, there are answers you don't have to earn, liberations you don't have to force, openings that come to you like a heavenly caress, at the exact moment you thought everything was about to collapse. These answers often arrive faster than expected. You can spend months knocking on a door that won't open, waiting for a sign that seems never to come, battling against walls that won't budge. And then, in one night, in an instant, in a breath, everything changes. Not slowly, not gradually, all at once. An unexpected message, a solution you hadn't even considered, a person who enters your life at the perfect time, a decision that falls into your favor, a burden that dissolves without any apparent logic, an inner clarity you've never felt before. You think life has surprised you, but in truth, it isn't life. It's a divine answer, anticipated. This kind of answer comes when a cycle has ended within you, even if you haven't realized it. When your heart has been completely squeezed by hardship, like squeezing a fruit dry. When there's nothing left to extract except the truth. When your soul has traversed the night to the point where it can no longer turn back. When you've become someone else without even noticing. It's often at this moment that deliverance descends. Not because you've done more, but because you've become more. And there's something profoundly mysterious about this sudden descent. It doesn't correspond to the rhythm of human logic. It follows a different calendar, a different time, a different perspective. What is meant to reach you doesn't wait for you to be ready according to your own standards. It arrives the moment your soul reaches its tipping point. That moment when the pain it carries transforms into light. Where despair transforms into trusting surrender. Where longing transforms into connection. Where tears become a language only mercy understands. When this point is reached, the answer no longer takes the slow path. It takes the fast path. It traverses this world with disconcerting precision, like an arrow that flies straight to its target, like lightning that strikes exactly where it's meant to. Then you feel something shift within you. You can't explain it. You can't quantify it, but you feel it. A lightness that appears without logical reason. An inner peace that surprises you. An intuition that whispers, something is coming. You are no longer in the same season. Something is coming toward you. And this intuition, you know, it almost never lies. Because the soul recognizes mercy before it manifests. It senses the approach of relief, even before it touches your life. As if somewhere, in the unseen realms, the change has already been enacted, and your heart is only receiving the echo. You think you're still waiting, but the truth is, what you're waiting for is already on its way. And sometimes, what's on its way arrives faster than expected. Much faster than you imagine. Much faster than your past has conditioned you to believe. And when it gets close enough, your soul is always the first to sense it. And perhaps that's what you're feeling right now. There is a truth your heart has long known, but your mind has too often forgotten. Everything that is meant for you already exists somewhere. Not in the future. Not in a maybe. Not in a scenario you still have to earn or create. No. What is destined for you is already in motion. Already written. Already launched. Already traversing time to reach you. There is a part of your future in your life that is not under construction, but being delivered. You believe your story is built only here in what you see, in what you choose, in what you lose, in what you regain. But there is another construction site, far from your eyes, a construction site where your name circulates, where your well-being is orchestrated, where decisions are made about you without your knowledge. The construction site is not human. It doesn't follow schedules, or deadlines, or human hesitations. It follows a different rhythm, the rhythm of wisdom that makes no mistakes. You have nothing to add to it. You have nothing to take away from it. You simply have to move forward and let what belongs to you come to you. Because that's exactly what it's doing. You don't see it yet, but it's moving forward. You don't hear it yet, but it's getting closer. And one day, you'll realize that what you were waiting for was already on its way for months, maybe even years. You thought nothing was happening, when in fact everything was in motion. Look at your life. Look at all the seasons you've lived through, the doors that slammed shut, the people who left without warning, the opportunities you missed, the detours that frustrated you, the hopes you had to abandon. What if all of this wasn't a series of failures, but preparation? What if the no's you received weren't rejections, but redirections? What if what you thought was the end was nothing more than the stage that needed to be cleared to let in what truly belongs to you? There's something in your destiny that can't pass you by. An event, an encounter, a healing, an opening, a turning point, a door that no one can close when it's meant for you, and that no force can open when it isn't. What is meant for you is coming straight toward you, like a wave that never wavers, like a sun that shines even behind the clouds, like a hand that never goes astray. You can wander off, you can slow down, you can even stray. But what is meant for your soul will always find its way back to you. There is something terribly powerful in this idea. You are not chasing your destiny. Your destiny is walking toward you. And sometimes, it runs. You cannot stop it. You cannot speed it up. You cannot miss it. Because true destiny has never been a game of chance. It is not a cosmic lottery. It is not a coincidence that happens at the right time. It is writing that does not waver. And when what is written comes to pass, everything shifts. Doors open without you having to force them. People call your name in places you've never set foot in. Opportunities appear in places you never thought to look. Solutions come knocking at your door at the exact moment you decided to give up. What is meant for you doesn't require perfection. It only requires you to be on the path, to not withdraw from yourself, to not stifle your soul, to not silence its calls. You know, there comes a moment in the lives of those who have waited too long when destiny crosses a threshold. A moment when it ceases to be silent and begins to be visible. At first, it's subtle, a sign, a coincidence, an undeniable feeling, an encounter that seems insignificant but awakens something within you. Then it grows stronger, clearer, faster, as if the unseen were telling you, prepare yourself. You are arriving at the place where what belongs to you is joining you. And at that moment, you can feel it in your heart before you see it in your life. A gentle stirring, a new energy, a changing breath, an inner light that wasn't yours just a few weeks ago. You think you're ready to receive. But in reality, it's what is meant for you that is ready to reach you. And sometimes, that's exactly what you feel right now. As if something were approaching slowly, then suddenly faster, as if your name had just been called in a place you can't yet see.